What does Louisville mean to you as kind of a second home away from Seattle?
And just told me, look, we live in a microwave society. You know, people aren't going to remember what you've done in the past. They're going to remember what you do now.
Your desire to help and impact young players, is that what kind of got you into starting a gym like Shoot 360?
You know, it's funny because I don't think I've ever wanted to become a head coach, but I always thought I would become a coach.
And you've had various people in your life, I'm sure. Can you kind of talk about some of the people who've had a great impact on your life? Welcome to Behind the Grind, a series that looks to uncover the stories behind some of the elite athletes, business leaders, and coaches to uncover their story, their values, their goals, and the experiences that shape their success. I am your host, Will Hankey, and through conversation, I hope to learn from their grind, and I hope you'll do the same. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get into today's episode, I would just like to give a huge shout out to a personal friend of mine and partner with Behind the Grind, retired Buffalo Bills center, Eric Wood. Eric is a Cincinnati native, came to the University of Louisville to play football, played 4 years here, was drafted to the Bills and had a long, successful career. He was a Pro Bowler and became a legend in Buffalo. He's a super impactful mentor of mine. He's taught me so many things, whether it was in my basketball career, whether it's been in this podcast journey, or just exploring the world of social media. He's been super insightful and super helpful for me. Eric has 2 kids, he's got a wife, and he's just an incredible stand-up dude, and he stands for the right things. So I'd like to ask you guys to go check him out on the Centered on Buffalo podcast, where you can hear weekly pregame insights from somebody who knows the game inside and out. You can hear exclusive NFL chats that you wouldn't have access to anywhere else. And you also get to hear some content from NFL legends. He's featured Josh Allen, Rob Gronkowski, Jason Kelsey, some really interesting guests that you can hear from on the Centered on Buffalo podcast. Thank you so much, Eric Wood, for having an impact on me, and I really hope you guys check him out. For today's episode, we have a very special guest, our first coach of the series. He was a 2-time Big East Tournament MVP, as well as receiving all Big East third-team honors. He was drafted 56th overall in the 2013 NBA draft and played 10 years professionally overseas, both in the NBA and overseas. He led the Louisville Cardinals to a national championship and now coaches for the team from Seattle, Washington. Please welcome Peyton Siva. Peyton, thank you so much for joining us today.
Man, I appreciate the introduction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great shirt. Love it.
Yeah, man. You know, I got all the titles on here. Just wanted to represent. And so, you know, you just to start things off, you know, you moved here to go to college at Louisville, to play here. And then after a professional career, you've come back to coach. You've started a family here. You've gotten into a business here. You coach here. Just kind of talk to me about what this place means to you. What does Louisville mean to you as kind of a second home away from Seattle?
Louisville is very special to me. You know, it took a kid in from Seattle, Washington, super far away from here, but treated me like their own from day one, and super appreciative of it. The community have embraced me, and I love it, man. My wife's from here. You know, she grew up in J-Town, and, you know, we started our family here. We love it. We love being around her family here, and the community, their continuous support, you know, through everything I have done has been amazing. You know, started up business, now into coaching. It's been great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this city absolutely loves you as one of its own. There are so many people here, whether it's Louisville fans or just citizens of the city, that have so much love and respect for you and what you've been able to do coming here. I just kind of want to warm things up. You know, everybody on their journey has role models. It's something we talk about. One of my role models and one of my mentors is Eric Wood, played here at Louisville. And I'd like to warm things up with the Eric Would You Rather segment.
Okay.
So we talk role models, and you being such a big icon here in the city, I'm sure there are many kids who look up to you as a role model, and I'm sure growing up you had people to which you looked up. And so for our Eric Would You Rather question, would you rather meet a role model of yours when you were a kid, or would you rather meet somebody who looks up to you as a role model, and why?
I think I would rather meet someone who looks up to me, just because I would be able to give them experiences that I have experienced, and I would be able to tell them my journey. You know, I've met a lot of my role models, and I saw a lot of my role models growing up, and, you know, they were my role models from a distance because I was able to watch how they operated. And, you know, I would love to give back rather than to receive right now, and as far as being a role model is, and if I can help a young kid out that looks up to me or looked up to me, I think that would be more beneficial in the long run.
Yeah, and I think that reflects a lot on you as a person. I mean, your decision, you've opened Shoot 360 here in Louisville to help younger players, and coaching at Louisville just kind of speaks to who you are as a person and wanting to give back and help, people that just want to learn. So we're kind of going to start with your story growing up. Like I said, you came here to play in Louisville. You started in college here in Louisville. Everybody knows you from that point on. But kind of talk about just how you got started growing up in Seattle as a player. What did that start look like? How old were you? Where was that? Who was there with you? Just kind of talk about that start in your basketball journey.
Yeah, so I grew up in, I have an older brother, older sister. They both play sports. And, of course, like everybody, the majority of the world, they always look up to their older brother. And I wanted to copy everything that he did. He played baseball, basketball, football. So I played baseball, basketball, and football. My dad, really big into sports. For those that know, he's at all of my games and when I was in college, and very energetic man. But I started young, started playing just in the backyard, just trying to copy my brother and my sister. Eventually, that continued to lead on until I got older and started playing organized, basketball around that 4th, 5th grade. But football was always my favorite sport. Loved football, played it, all the way through high school, and just continued to my mom tried to continue to have me busy, staying out of trouble and keep me in sports, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. Met a lot of great people along the way, and yeah.
That's really kind of interesting that you had that, wide variety. You're playing different sports, just getting a feel for things. Because our first two guests, Zoo and Michael, both talked about how really, Michael especially, I mean, he was in the gym at 4 years old with his dad, and that's always what he knew it was going to be was basketball. And so we start with talking about goals, because when you begin your journey, when you begin anything, it's really important to have goals. And so kind of talk about with you playing so many sports and just kind of not, like you said, you played football through high school. And so what was it kind of looked like for you as a young kid, setting goals and kind of thinking what you wanted to do with your athletic career?
To be honest, playing different sports was something that, my mom really instilled in me and my dad, and, just trying to get out and just stay active, right? I mean, besides those 3 major sports, I was able to run track, played ultimate frisbee, did anything that involved anything athletically. But I just try to, keep my options open. As far as goals go, I think, a real big goal of mine, and didn't know if it would happen or not when I was younger, was just try to go to college, try to get my college paid for. And that was a huge thing for me. And I think the reason why it was so big for me was because it was so big for my mom. And my mom was my everything, and that was one of her big goals for me, was to, go off to college. And a way for me to repay her, I didn't have any money, so a way for me to repay her was to go to college, get my college paid for, to kind of help with that situation. And I would say by the time my sophomore year came around, I really started blowing up on the basketball scene. So I stuck with basketball, and it worked out for me. Yeah. But once that hit, then my goals became bigger. You always dream of wanting to go to the NBA, wanting to play professionally, all that. But I think at a young age, it was just, all right, can I get ranked? All right, can I? It was funny because when we were younger, we had, what was it, like Hoop Scoop. It was like a first kind of ranking system for middle school and high school. And we would check the online sites every day, like, are we ranked? Who's ranked? Who's ranked? And my friends. And then, once I got to around the 8th grade, freshman year, my name started appearing on there. And then it was, can we get a mixtape on YouTube? Because those were the next big thing. And just like little goals like that you set just to kind of gradually increase. And then it worked out that when I got to college, my next goal was to win. We won. Then I go to NBA, went to NBA, and then continued playing professionally. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a journey. Just everything you went through, kind of using sports as an avenue to change your life and to do something that you wanted to do for your mother that just meant so much to you. I think that's a really special thing. And obviously, through your young career, through your college, your professional career, you've had a lot of success. But just as important as those successes are challenges and failures you might go through on your journey, because that's the most important way to learn, through those experiences. So could you kind of shine light and talk about on some times for you where maybe you faced some shortcomings or failures and what you were able to take from that?
Yeah, I faced a lot of shortcomings and failures, and from not playing on my varsity team until 8th grade year of middle school. We started 6th grade, and that was more so on me, just because of grades and everything. Just didn't really take school seriously at that moment in my life. To sophomore and junior year, we lost in the state championship after winning my freshman year. To coming to Louisville, not really playing as a freshman and really struggling after being, a highly, ranked freshman coming in, not getting the chance to play, really struggling my freshman year, dealing with a lot of injuries, dealing with concussions, and just really not playing to the level that I knew I could. Losing the first round, those first 2 years, really tough in the NCAA tournament. I mean, blessed to be able to make it. Not a lot of teams get a chance to make the tournament, but, losing in that first round really stings. And then, getting drafted to Detroit, playing a little bit, then getting cut, figuring out where's my next movement, where's my next journey, dealing with a lot of injuries in Europe. And, you deal with a lot of things of that nature, but through it all, I'm very thankful and blessed of those shortcomings, because I learned a lot from them. I learned to just, persevere, really lean on God and lean on your faith through those tough times. Luckily, I had a really good support system in my wife and my family and, my daughters, being able to talk to them through my struggles and through those hard times, and them being there for me every, step of the way. And, you just try to take it in stride, so you learn from it and you're able to kind of give back to the next generation, right? We talked about if I could meet a kid who looks up to me, well, I can tell them some of the things that I've been through. Same with on the team, our guys who want to go to the NBA or want to go play professionally, I can tell them some of the experiences that I experienced playing in NBA or playing over in Europe, or just different things of that nature, and being able to relate with them and help them out wherever I can.
Yeah, I mean, that's super valuable, having you who's gone through the fire and done those things, especially like you said, on a college staff for guys who aspire to reach that destination. I think that's super valuable to have. So, Peyton, we talked a little bit about mentors and role models when we opened this up, and those are so important. Whether you're an athlete, whatever you're going into, super important to have those people that you learn from. And you've had various people in your life, I'm sure. Can you kind of talk about some of the people who've had a great impact on your life and just what those people have been able to do for you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of mentors and great people to help me throughout my life. Besides my family members like my mom, my dad, and other family, I would say going back to when I was younger, my AAU coach, Daryl Hennings, really helped me just become who I am today. Him and my high school coach, Kerr, really instilled in me just being humble, being a leader, really helped me off the court, just kept me out of trouble, kept me in the gym, and just taught me how to treat people with kindness and, continue to just be there for others. I would say they really helped me grow into a man. And then I would say my youth pastor, Danny Cage, played an instrumental part in my life growing up, especially at the time where we first met. Like I said, going back to my middle school days, it wasn't because of my talent that I couldn't play. It was more so because of my behavior and my attitude. And he really helped me in that area and really find faith and find God. And I really appreciate him for that. Moving forward, just, my college coaches, Coach Pitino, really helped me just understand how the world works. Just with tough love, as I would say. And he's a guy that I can reach out to, that still can connect to this day. And then, along the journey, just the brotherhood of just basketball. Some of the guys who's from Seattle that made it to the NBA, Jamal Crawford, Jason Terry, Aaron Brooks, all those guys that I can, reach out to and talk to. And, they gave me so much encouragement in life through, basketball that it really helped me out. And then as I continue this journey, just the coaching staff that we're on now, right? Those guys, Coach Kelsey, Cass, Eli, Mitch, Braden, Chloe, all those guys, Ronnie, Jermaine, TC, they have really been a big help for me as far as getting into this coaching world, learning the ins and outs of it, and they're mentors to me. So along the journey of my life, I've had a lot of mentors and a lot of people that I'm thankful for being in this position today.
Yeah, it sounds like you've surrounded yourself with great people and been able to take a lot of things from them. You've mentioned twice now, you've mentioned the faith and how important your faith is as a part of this journey. I know from being around you that you are a man of God. And so I just kind of like to talk about how you kind of lean into that faith and what does that faith do for you, whether it's in sports and coaching and life as a dad or as a husband. Just how do you lean on that faith and what does that do for you?
Just through everything. And like I said, just going back to, Danny Cage when I was younger, really had a big attitude problem, really was frustrated with a lot of different things, and, just learned to, give my problems and lean on the Lord for my strength and for those times where I was weak. And, I try to implement that in my daily life today with my family and my kids and, just how I carry myself. And I'm thankful, for everything that God has done for me, and I know I wouldn't be here without him, and I lean on him for all of my strength and all my problems and give it all to him, and I try to live that life that would glorify him and little things. I'm not the biggest person that can remember every single Bible verse or every little thing, so what I try to do and how I try to pay respect and give back is use my talents and my platform to honor him in everything that I do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, I give all glory to God, and I'm thankful for everything that I have been through because, without it, I wouldn't be here today and I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Yeah, that powerful driving force just behind everything you do, it's very important and it's very evident just from being around you. You've got an amazing way about you and how you coach and how you teach and just how you go about your life. It's really, noticeable that you have that force behind you in God. You mentioned Rick Pitino, and I know just him being your college coach for 4 years and his legacy and how he's been able to impact so many players. Is there one specific moment, one specific story, or just one thing specifically that you can remember learning from him? And just kind of tell me the story of that.
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest lessons I've learned from Coach Pitino was my junior year. I was dealing with a lot of injuries. I was, playing up and down that year. We were ranked, but I wasn't really playing that well. And, he pulled me into his office. I think we just beat Syracuse on the road, and he pulled me into his office. I didn't really play well. And he just talked to me about, the society that we live in, right? We live in a social media society that as a player, you could read everything, you can see what other people are saying, and he just kind of put me in the office and just told me, look, we live in a microwave society. People aren't going to remember what you've done in the past. They're going to remember what you do now. And at that point in my life, I really needed to hear that because after that, we lost on senior night to USF, I believe, and then we went into the Big East tournament. And I played some of the best basketball that I've played and won the Big East championship, won Big East tournament MVP, mm-hmm. And we went on to a Final Four run, right? And it's funny because people remember that. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, my senior year, we made another good run, played well, won a championship. But those last 2 years were very instrumental to my career and who I became as a basketball player. And I feel like that advice that he gave me my junior year really stuck along the way. And mm-hmm. that was one of the more serious moments that we've had, that we got a chance to talk. And I feel like that was one of the messages that resonated with me the most throughout my playing career with him.
Absolutely. Just focusing on the process, the everyday process, and not the results and not the reactions you might get from other people. And just, you know what you need to do to get better, to get where you want to go and to win. and all those things. And it's not about listening to the other people and what they have to say, but staying focused. That's super valuable from Coach Pitino. And so you've mentioned various mentors and influences on your life. Did having some really special people in your life, did that kind of influence your decision to get into coaching? What kind of went into that as you transitioned from your playing career to your coaching career?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't think I've ever wanted to become a head coach, but I always thought I would become a coach as an assistant. And that was more so because I always wanted to, give back, be around the game of basketball. And so I've played for a ton of great coaches, and I've been around a ton of amazing coaches, right? Coaches that were assistant when I was here that went on to be head coaches, and just speaking to them throughout the years and seeing, how they handle themselves, how they are able to run a program has really influenced me, and being able to reach out to them and talk to them about the process of everything has really helped me just want to get into coaching. And this opportunity presented itself, with Coach Kelsey. Because before that I was, running a gym, doing personal trainings and things of that nature, which I loved and loved being my own boss. But, the opportunity to coach at the University of Louisville is something that you just couldn't pass up. And, I'm very thankful for, Josh Hurd and Coach Kelsey for allowing me to be an employee at the University of Louisville, but also be on staff and, to help give back. And I think this has been an awesome journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of fans would have to agree. And I know personally from being behind the scenes, just seeing how you're able to impact players with your experiences as a point guard, just some of those things you can teach guys, like how Chucky Hepburn was able to improve last year in his senior year. And as we see Michael playing super well right now, Kobe Rogers, all the guards that we have and had last year, how you were able to kind of help them improve their game is just invaluable. And I know we're very happy to have you, that's for sure. And you mentioned Shoot 360. Was that kind of the same idea there? Just your desire to help and impact young players? Is that what kind of got you into starting a gym like Shoot 360?
Yeah, it was funny because I saw the concept around 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. And when I went up to Seattle, a good friend of mine, Rodney Stuckey, has one up there. And I just saw just the concept of it, the technology behind it. And I was like, man, I would love to bring one to Louisville when I'm done playing. And I loved it because, one, it's a safe place for kids to come and get better, no matter how, talented you are, or if you're just beginning basketball, it's a place that you can come and play without being judged, mm-hmm. right? I grew up in the Rotary Boys and Girls Club, and I was in that gym every single day, and I loved it. I loved being around the coaches there, the people there, and I wanted to create something, bring something here that replicated that in a sense, and the opportunity presented itself again. So thank God for that, and bringing that gym here has been amazing. And from a business aspect, it's great. And it was something for me to really dip my toe in the business world. But the impact that this has had on kids around the city, I get parents all the time, and I tell the coaches up there that parents all the time come up to me and just tell me how much it has changed their kids' lives, from a confidence standpoint, from a, basketball standpoint, not only just getting better in basketball, but, they talk about how the coaches up there make them feel bigger than what they are, right? That their kids are walking around school with their chest pumped out just because of the confidence that those coaches, put into them, and how they're able to just, speak up and have more confidence and just be more free. And mm-hmm. I think that's the biggest thing for me. And, I love it when I love hearing that parents come up to me and tell me that, their kids came in there shy and timid, and now they're, expressing themselves. And will they go to the NBA? Only God knows. But can that help them in life, in business, in school, and everything else? Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest things I take away from the facility and having it here is the lives that are changed. The young kids' lives that are changed, and not feeling like they're being judged every time they go and try to shoot a basketball, because you shouldn't be. I don't care what your form looks like. I don't care if you airball every single shot. If you're having fun with it, that's the main goal. And, if you get better along the way, that we want to help that. But we want to build that confidence. We want to build a safe place that you can go and play and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a unique spot over there. I was a part of it for about a year and just going in there and seeing the impact that they were having on the kids in there, on all the players in there, whether it was their game, their skill set, but also just like the stories you were telling, just the way they went about things, their confidence, their attitude, their positivity, connecting with others. It's just so invaluable for young kids to have that place in Louisville to be able to do those things and feel comfortable. It's really unique. So we've talked a lot about your journey and a lot of stories. Would you say there are just some overarching values that kind of guided your grind and the decisions you made and just the mindset and the values that you've kind of kept throughout this whole process?
I've always kept my main value is just treating others with kindness, really treating others, having a humble spirit and having a spirit of servitude. And I've always carried it that way of loving others. And I think that's helped me out tremendously and just in my life, just because I've always been one, like I'm going to treat others how I'd want to be treated. And that's a value and life lesson that my mom taught me from an early age. Mm-hmm. And you'd be surprised what happens when you treat others with kindness, right? No matter what somebody's going through, no matter what somebody looks like, where they're from, whatever it may be, love them, love on them, serve them. How can I help you today? It goes a long way, not only for, you're not looking to get something in return, but just you feel better about yourself. Mm-hmm. You feel better that you're able to help somebody else out. And I think those are one of the key values that I've always, kept within my day-to-day living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that just how you treat people in every day is so important, and just how you can impact people just through small little acts of kindness. I remember Mac McClung, the dunk contest champion. I remember watching one of his Ball is Life, Day in the Lifes, and he was just walking through the halls, and you could kind of see how he was around the school, how he was just a positive guy to have in the school. And he said in the Day in the Life, he said, every time you interact with somebody, you could either make their day better or you could make their day worse, just through anything, just saying hi or looking them off. And why not make it better? Just so easy just to have a positive impact on other people, which reflects back on you. And I think there's so many successful people who would say that same thing. So just kind of looking back, we've talked about your journey, and you've talked about the gratitude that you have for the journey. But just to ask this question, is there anything that you would change about your whole athletic career, your coaching career, just this whole journey that you've had so far?
I don't think I would change anything. I wouldn't change anything more so because I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm very blessed and fortunate to be in the position that I'm in. I have an amazing wife, 2 amazing daughters, getting a chance to work for the University of Louisville and the coaching staff. I had a long playing career. Got paid to play a game that I love, met a lot of great people. So I'm very thankful for this journey that I have. And
Yeah. And just last thing, is there any general advice that you have for the audience before we leave, or specific advice that you would give to them?
I mean, only advice that, like I said, just one of the values, just continue to love others, man. Continue to treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and continue to have a servant mindset of just helping out others, being there for them. Like you said, you can make somebody's day better or worse, from a simple interaction. Why not make it better?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up episode 3. Peyton, thank you so much for joining me today. You've been an unbelievable guest with the advice and some of the stories you've been able to share with all the experience you have. Just it's invaluable for me and for our viewers. So thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me, man. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 3. We will be dropping hints as to next week's guest, the Shady Ray Hints of the Week. Those will be released on social media leading up to the next episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been Behind the Grind. I am your host, Will Hankey. Keep on grinding.